Hello, everyone. This is Compot. We are here for another episode of the TekWars official fandom podcast. Tonight, we're sort of just having a lazy Sunday. We're at the gas station right now.
Circle K.
Whether it be your local Quick Trip or your Circle K, we're just going to stand outside for a while, smoke a couple cigarettes. I got my Pabst Blue Ribbon. Logo, what are you drinking?
Oh, man, I got a tall boy right here.
Yeah, tall boy is always the way to go.
Ice cold tall boy. Listening to the gas station sounds of American excellence. It's a good night.
Yeah, this is the Modest Mouse podcast where we finally get into indie rock supremacy and all the Euro cucks out there who can't handle it.
It's true. They don't really understand it, and they can't see the beauty, I guess, in a bus stop or a McDonald's or a gas station. Sometimes you just need the right kind of shade of light on it.
I mean, there's nothing like the gas station in America. That's where all the magic happens. I was at the.
I used to hang out at a gas station when I was a kid. You know, we'd all bike into town. We only had like a gas station. That was like our place where we could hang out and get some game fuel.
Yeah, I just got some gamer fuel from the local gas station today. It's sort of a magical place.
Yeah, I love walking to the gas station. I like walking in the summer sun to the 7-Eleven, getting a nice Monster. You know, it's not, and then smoking a cig. It's great.
For a couple hours, just smoking a cig in the parking lot of the 7-Eleven. It's all you need.
Just shooting the shit with your boys.
Yeah.
Because I've been on this huge kick recently of just going back to the late 90s, early 2000s, going back to the Modest Mouse. Just memorabilia playing. Going back to the classics. I've been drawing a lot of strings from that.
I felt that way in November. I went on a big road trip in the Southwest and just packed up my phone with tons of indie rock and a bunch of stuff I hadn't listened to, but just a bunch of the classics, like all of Modest Mouse. That's when I got really into the Cleaners from Venus. And it's just, there's something about just driving the long highway, you know, and cranking some tunes. I don't know. Eurocucks, they'll never get it.
There was something that was tweeted, and it was like a picture of a very middle American town with an Exxon and a McDonald's and a Burger King.
That one that always gets posted?
Yes, yeah. And,
it's Breezewood, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the Breezewood. It's such a... People would like to shit on that, but Loco, I think you had the best take on it, that clearly if you're shitting on it, you've never been on any kind of long road trip or anything, because that is like the light at the end of the tunnel.
It's the oasis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I used to take the Chinatown bus from Boston to New York all the time, and sometimes that ride would be up to 6 hours long.
Or whatever.
Yeah, they'd be like $15, but you know, I'd take that trip all the time, or just buses in general, and sometimes you're on there for 6 hours. And you only got one stop, and it's going to be something that looks exactly like that, and you're going to stretch your legs. Oh, it feels so nice. Imagine yourself getting out of the fucking bus and stretching your legs and looking around, and then you walk inside this nice air-conditioned and not bus-smelling gas station, and you see these walls of refrigerated just beverages, all of the types of beverages you could imagine. Just everything you could possibly want.
It's the American
you get
dream.
Get yourself a nice beverage, a little road trip snack, probably some beef jerky if you're me.
That takes me back to the Greyhound, riding the Greyhound in college, going back and forth from Chicago to my hometown. And it was the 6-hour trip. And then it's
a great feeling.
The Greyhound stop in my town was just a McDonald's. They didn't have a bus station or anything. They just it was at McDonald's, and if you wanted to get your Greyhound ticket or whatever, you had to go and get the McDonald's employee to do it.
Well, that was one of the Peter Pan lines, I think they subcontracted out this Chinatown bus, but you book it through Peter Pan or whatever the hell. Would only stop at this one Chinese restaurant in a strip mall in Connecticut on the trip between New York and Boston. They had some deal with them, I guess, but that was my oasis for a while.
That's interesting. I never really thought about that. about maybe contracting in where the stops are so that your strip mall is the one that's populated by the bus guests.
It's like the whole world of that stuff is so sad. Like the Greyhound station is like the saddest place. Like I remember.
Yeah, Port Authority is probably the saddest place in New York.
Port Authority
Port
is
Authority
awful.
bathroom, unusable, covered in piss up to an inch.
That would be the name of like my power violence band, a like just nasty guttural crust punk band called Port Authority Bathroom.
But I used to go to like Ohio, and I was like in the Indianapolis like Greyhound station, like on a layover that was like 5 hours long or something, and I was just like so screwed, just like being there. But then like some guy came up to me and started telling me about how he was taking the Greyhound to go take trucking school, and he was going to become a trucker, and he was telling me like his whole life story. And it's only in places like that where you can get that kind of thing.
Yeah, that happens a lot on the. You just run into the strangest sort of folks on the buses generally, because the buses are like how the real down and dirty Americans get around this big old honking country.
That's why I sort of like oppose the like Obama high-speed rail sort of stuff, because I don't want that. That's what the Eurocucks have. I don't want that taken away from America. Like there's the Amtrak and like the Greyhound are so shitty that like there's something beautiful about it that you don't want to lose.
I took the Staten Island ferry, and they had like refreshments on it. They had a whole little restaurant section put in, and I was kind of uncomfortable because of how it was stepped up a little nicer and not completely just shitty. I didn't like it. I wanted like
No,
Port
that's
Authority
like you want it
bathroom
to be
experience.
shitty.
Yeah,
Like it's like that was like I love the Funghua bus before they shut it down for not following any of like the safety codes or whatever. I don't know if did you ever take the Funghua when it was around Compot?
No, never.
no.
Oh man, there's a great Titus Andronicus song which talks about
man,
which is
I
all
was
about
just-
taking the
just thinking
Funghua
about
bus. And I used to listen to that in high school, and then as soon as I graduated and moved to New York, I ended up taking the Funghua bus all the time, and I had no idea what it was before, but boy, did I learn what the Funghua bus was.
Was it fun?
Oh, I loved dude, there's like, that's like so much nostalgia for me is wrapped up in going down to Chinatown and taking like the huge long bus ride up to Boston. Because my fiance now, right, wasn't going to college there, so I would make the trip quite frequently, and sometimes spend like weeks there in Boston. So I spend a lot of my time in both New York and Boston. I love both of those cities. Well, Boston more than New York. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot nicer.
They have those Chinatown stop buses going down to Atlanta as well, and there's always very pungent smells on those buses that I remember. I don't know.
I always remember it smells like the Funghua bus always smelled like reeked of weed, because that's what if that's how all the they don't like check your bags or anything like that on these trips. So if you're drug trafficking, you definitely riding some Greyhounds.
I have definitely taken a lot of weed on a Greyhound before, and I have also definitely experienced the whole thing where I love when they have like a movie that plays, like where I remember one trip, it was like 6-hour trip, and they just kept playing like the Tim Allen remake of the Shaggy Dog, like on a loop on the bus.
Yes. They only have like a DVD that you would find in one of those huge like wire buckets at a Walmart, like towards like the checkout
sale.
aisles,
For
like
sale for like $2.
$2 DVDs.
Yeah.
You just hear one of those like on repeat or whatever. Those piss me off because I liked getting a lot of reading done on the bus.
That's like
It
a
was
unique
great.
kind of
I
hellscape. I feel.
Yeah, like it's a very unique hellscape to be falling asleep on a bus and then have the movie kick in, and then the audio's playing like on the bus speakers. It's like falling asleep with the DVD menu on, like.
I love I love that experience. I love because it does get really hallucinatory when you're drifting in and out and you're like listening to music or something. And
yeah, I think real heads might remember, but I went to Buffalo to meet up with Sean and some other people when I was still living in New York, and I had like the most hellish like bus nightmare trip. I got in at like 4 a.m. or something, but I was just live tweeting the entire experience, and like I had done like a full work day and like hadn't really, and at a certain point I had just like gone past like being awake for like almost a full day, and I was just like kind of like in a hallucinatory weird dream state when I got stuck. Yeah, I got stuck at this bus stop in the middle of nowhere in upstate New York, and because I missed my bus because my bus was slow, so I had to wait like 2 hours in the middle of nowhere at this like ill-attended bus stop, and it was like snowing outside, and I couldn't eat anything like prior because I was on the bus, and all I could get was like a Subway at like 1 a.m. And I had like the lady making it was just like she like sighed when I ordered something. Like she was so down and out. Like it was like a true I feel like you could set like a 3-act play at the Greyhound stop in the middle of nowhere.
I had a tweet today that I just made like off the cuff where I was like, the Rust Belt hellscape is like more beautiful than like the racially homogenous like 50s of Eisenhower America, and people are like getting pretty kind of salty about it,
Worked up.
they're like, no you have no idea, it's so great, we had like barbecues and stuff, like think about what we lost.
Yeah, they're like people who would rather watch Leave It to Beaver than like Gummo.
Holy shit.
Because I would rather like live in the ruins, honestly, and just like sort of imagine what it was like before. I mean,
yeah,
like
that's like the whole
yeah.
root of like the Southern Gothic, you know, like this just the Gothic in general in America. Like these people need to read Suttree, because Suttree was like the first depiction of I guess the post-industrial hellscape.
Like, are you into like a Gothic Americana, like the music from like the early 2000s? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the Asthmatic Kitty label.
Like what band specifically?
There's
like
a band,
probably.
There's like a band called Castanets that I was always a huge fan of back in the day, and they never really like made it or anything, but they had a bunch of really good albums, which were sort of like new, weird, like Gothic Americana kind of genre. But
I mean, I tend to think of the American Gothic as being more like goth country type stuff, you know?
Yeah, just like that. It was definitely like very country inspired, and lots of like organs and stuff, and very like somber. But that was the stuff that when I was first getting into like music in like the early 2000s, that I was always attracted to most. It's like that and like, you know, your Modest Mouse and stuff. Like,
yeah, I like that stuff in general. I kind of grew up liking like Johnny Cash, and I feel like that sort of ties into the kind of Gothic Americana.
do you remember like Bonnie Prince Billy?
Yeah.
I don't know. I never really liked the guy. I never really got all the hype behind him. He seems like such a phony kind of guy, because especially afterwards, then he started getting into like acting and like being in like Tim and Eric stuff, and there was something about his brand of country that always like annoyed me.
Yeah, it seemed kind of like middlebrow or whatever. That's how I felt about it. Like, it didn't go as poppy as the kind of folk stuff that would become popular later. Like Iron and Wine even is kind of poppier to my mind, or at least like, if you know what I'm saying. And it didn't go to like the weirdness of, say, Mark Kozliak's like new albums where he just kind of like talks about his day while playing guitar.
Yeah,
he was kind of in between there.
I always felt that like Microphones like Mount Erie was really in that vein, with in terms of like, the lyrics and like
like lo-fi kind of American I don't know, like bedroom pop kind of.
Yeah, somebody said today on Twitter that they want the podcast to just take over and do all like the music discussion and stuff and capture the audience. So that's what we're gonna do. This is, we're gonna talk about some good stuff. We're gonna talk about Mount Erie. If you haven't listened to like Microphones or Mount Erie, I highly recommend that you do. That's one of like my favorite contemporary kind of like recording acts.
What's the top album?
They have a lot of really good ones. They're very like a fragmented kind of band, and that nothing they ever like. There's like so many side projects and like offshoots, and like he's always just recording stuff. It's this guy. He's like a super meek guy. His name is Phil Elthram, and I've like met him a few times. He like tours, and he did some like really small shows at my college. And he's like a very kind of like meek guy, nice guy, but he's so great. I absolutely love like his band Mount Erie. Have you heard them, Logo?
Yeah, I've heard Mount Erie. I'm more of a fan of the Microphones, I would say, but yeah, I haven't listened to all of the. I know that he had a newish album fairly recently, like after the death of his wife or girlfriend or something. That was supposed to be very good.
But Anthony Fantano.
I haven't listened to it. Yeah, I haven't listened to that yet. I had I'm only sort of getting back into my indie rock interests kind of recently, but I used to I listened to far more indie rock when I was like a teenager, and then I stopped listening to indie rock for a while. But I'm kind of feeling it again recently. I think it was from doing that road trip, and I was just listening to a lot of like Tom Petty on the road, and I was just like, damn, this is nice. This is what it's all about.
Whenever I do a road trip, I'm always what I'm really about is Rush on the road trip.
Does it give you that rush?
That's for driving by yourself though.
Yeah,
you know, like it's different when you're like you just need something like when you're driving in like a car like full like and it's like soundtracked for more than just your own self. I feel. Because I feel like Rush is kind of like more questionable in mixed company,
But I saw like a Nick Mullen tweet recently, where he was begging on Rush or something, and he was like, "I'm gonna get Rush tickets or whatever," but the fool doesn't even know that Rush broke up. I caught Nick Mullen in his bullshit. He doesn't even like Rush. He doesn't know what's going on with Geddy Lee.
He's a poser.
I like that he is like a nu metal apologist. Like, I really appreciate that aspect.
Oh, is he? What is he? What does he say? Like, you mean like nu metal, like Linkin Park?
Yeah, not Linkin Park so much, but what's the one with like "Give Me Something to Break"? You know what I'm talking about? What's that band?
Oh fuck!
Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit.
That's who he had a whole like polemic defending Limp Bizkit, and I was like, that's rad.
I had like guys like in high school who like loved Linkin Park. They named their band after Linkin Park, and like our high school band, like the Cool Kids. That's
sick, dude.
Yeah, that was a very confined era. And then I was also, Eminem back then. That was a big thing.
What an era.
Absolutely legendary. I'm still on. I just was telling like Woke Manlet and like Metaphor Man this the other day that I'm like watching all these like Eminem videos for some reason, like Eminem interviews and stuff, and I'm still am. I don't know why. I don't even like Eminem.
Still keeping it up. Holy shit. Just got to know about the man's life.
Yeah, I just want to know. I want to know what's going on.
What have you figured out so far? Anything that hits?
I don't know. There's something about like.
What's the draw?
Like his daughter, Haley, and Kim, and all this other shit. It's crazy. I don't even know.
Damn.
But it really takes. Yeah, go.
Like Eminem, he's weird because like he's like a kind of genius, like when it comes to his craft, he's really good, but often like all of his best work is like long behind him at this point, and he's just still around. It's like the weirdest thing.
Oh, don't diss him on the podcast, man. He's gonna do a diss track against us.
I think
it's an awfully hot coffee pot. Drop it on TekWars, probably.
Probably not. He should have pulled an Andre 3000 and just like dipped out, and he would have had much more of like a legendary, glow about him. I was watching an Eminem interview not too long ago.
yeah, man. Eminem video supremacy.
This is now the Eminem interview podcast.
It was really good. It was about him. He got really pissed off at the Odd Future guys. Making fun of his recent albums, even though they're like huge fans of his early work.
I was watching that literal interview today. I was watching that today, man.
I love that. I love that interview because he's like, I thought we were bros. Like I thought we were boys. Like we hung out and it was cool. And then like you said my album shit. Like what the fuck?
What's your opinion of Odd Future? Doesn't Tyler, the creator, have a new album that came out recently?
Yeah, I don't really get why people think he's like a genius or that interesting or whatever. Like I haven't liked like almost any of his output. And his most recent thing is like him doing Ariel Pink basically, and it's like I already like Ariel Pink, and Ariel Pink does this way better. Like with like the kind of schmaltzy like affectations of like worn out R&B tropes and stuff like that. He has like that new blonde wig on and stuff.
Yo, I saw that.
I used to like Earl Sweatshirt a lot. I think that he has potential, but I think that his most recent album is like total garbage, and everyone's. I don't know why people think it's like it. I felt the same way as when Kendrick put out, what is it? To Pimp a Butterfly, where everyone was just like, oh, like this is like ostensibly art, right? Like it's being presented as like an art piece or whatever.
Right.
So people are like pretending that they're having a deeper experience with it, or maybe even just like psyoping themselves into having like a deep experience with it. But I don't think people really listen to it beyond like their initial few listens or whatever, and then they feel smart about having like a smart opinion about the art album of the year, and then they just never listen to it again. Like I have no desire to listen to that again, but earlier Earl stuff, like I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside, is great. Also, great road trip album. Used to listen to that with my little brother when we drive around. Good stuff.
Are we going to get back to the rap and Linkin Park nu metal like fusion era? I think that needs some
we're
sort of
here.
revival.
We're here, man.
Is it back?
You've kind of missed out because I feel like you're not as into like SoundCloud rap. Like how much X have you listened to? R.I.P. X.
Yeah, no, I only listen. I listen to Busta Rhymes. Is my thing.
Oh man, that's great though. That's a good choice.
I fucking love Busta Rhymes. I love Flip Mode. I love that guy. He's so good.
What's the song he did with Chris Brown?
Oh, I don't know.
In like the mid 2000s. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I'm all into like the classic Busta Rhymes.
This song's really fucking good though. It has like it has like one of the most infectious beats in it ever too. Fuck. I can hear it in my head. Damn. That was such an era. That was like when Kanye was putting out Mercy and stuff. That was a great era for music. The end of the Bush era, there was like a huge explosion of good shit.
Oh yeah, like
there was hope in America. Funded the arts.
The Graduation era.
Yeah, a little bit after that.
Yeah, I remember when that came out, and that was huge. I remember I really liked 808 and Heartbreaks when that came out.
Damn, you were ahead of your time then.
Yeah, I loved that album when it came out. I thought that was his best album. I didn't really care as much for the ones before Graduation. I sort of like Graduation, but then 808 and Heartbreaks, I loved that.
I feel like I grew up as like a nerdy black kid in some ways because I wasn't a huge Kanye fan, but I was a huge Lupe Fiasco fan. Like I loved Lupe Fiasco so much.
That one song that was on the radio.
Yeah, Kick Push.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like how everyone heard about it. But he's great, man. He put out a concept. I listen to him still because he's fucking out there, you know. Like he put out a concept album.
Wait, he's still going?
Last year, I think.
Holy shit.
Yeah, man. He put out a fucking concept album that has like songs in like Spanish and stuff, like in multiple languages. It's a whole concept album about an underwater kingdom of like Aquaman black people who were slaves who fell off the slave ships. Yeah, it's fucking crazy, man.
It's actually pretty interesting.
Do you know that they found Atlantis in Africa?
Yes, I saw that video.
Yeah, that's
too, man.
so good, man.
Wait, I did not see this. Enlighten me.
I mean, there's like this big like geographical feature that you can see from space. That's like this huge, like this ringed structure that's like in like northwestern Africa. And then now there's like all these theories that like this is Atlantis.
The sunken
Like
city.
no one has like excavated it or anything, but like there's a ton of YouTube videos if you go and look this up. And people are like claiming that this is Atlantis, and they're saying because Atlantis is like the city of like Atlas, and then there's like the Berber people of like North Africa, and their like legendary king is also named Atlas, and people are like making these videos like no one's ever put this together before. We've like found Atlantis, like this is fucking it. This matches Plato's description exactly.
Graham Hancock.
I believe
Eric
it,
Dubé.
man. I'm into it. I
I'm
feel
into
like
it,
that's
too.
exactly. People are probably laughing, right? But that's what they said about the guy who found Troy.
Schleiman.
So we'll see.
Schleiman was such a he was the man. He gets a lot of shit, but can you imagine like having Priam's treasure or whatever and like giving it to your wife or like your girlfriend and being like, let's fuck and you can wear like Priam's treasure?
Yes, that's what I would totally do. I don't know why anyone would do otherwise.
Like that would be like he just flexed so hard on like all other archaeologists when he did that.
Yeah, he was closer to like Indiana Jones than like the nerds who were make up most of that field.
Oh yeah, it's like terrible nerds. Like whenever that's how you can like. This is the podcast tip, the TekWars podcast tip, is if you talk to someone who's like studies archaeology or anything, you ask them what they think of Schleiman, and if they are against him, then you know that they're a big nerd and that they suck and that their opinion doesn't matter. Like that guy was so.
Schleiman found Troy. And
he found. He excavated like Mycia.
Oh.
And so he did a bunch of stuff, but he was like a very controversial guy because of his methods.
Okay.
Mostly because his methods were like, I'm just going to follow the directions that are in the fucking book.
And just like that, Atlantis was found. But there are like some big YouTube channels they're like that. They're like the archaeological mystery channel. Like we found Atlantis. Like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
How do you feel about Tartaria?
Oh, I haven't heard about that.
You haven't seen those?
No.
It kind of goes in with the same. They believe that like on a bunch of old maps, right? They have like Tartaria in the Siberian area and like in the Caucasus, for the Tartars.
Uh-huh.
And they are saying that this used to be like a globe-spanning like civilization. That was like it's pretty wild. They kind of tie that into the whole like Dionysian architects, like Pythagorean like global cult that taught everyone how to make pyramids or whatever. It's kind of also tied in some respects to the conspiracy theory about how we don't have trees anymore. Like the trees that we have aren't the trees that we used to have. Yeah. The huge world trees. Yeah, they're kind of like in the same YouTube wormhole.
I believe all of it.
We have to have Eric Dubé on. Eric Dubé is like a godfather of all this knowledge.
Yeah, but first, Rudy from Alpha Investments.
Yeah, first Rudy.
I emailed him. Tech Warriors out there, please let Rudy from Alpha Investments know that he's needed on this podcast.
We need his investment advice in this volatile market time.
Yeah, we need to get some MTG investing going. Someone just said the other day that they wanted to donate some Bitcoins or something, or they wanted to pay for a subscription in Bitcoins. I'm like, no, you can send me
a booster box.
You can send me a graded, cased Alpha Common or something, and I'll let you subscribe. But no, Bitcoin, no way.
We want the real sound money.
Did you play any TCGs, Logo?
I was just like a normie in that respect. I played Pokemon cards when Pokemon was popular, And I played Yu-Gi-Oh! When Yu-Gi-Oh! Was popular. And there were the other kids who were slightly older than me who had Magic cards or whatever, but I think I missed that whole wave when I was younger.
Did you watch
It was like older kids.
the Yu-Gi-Oh! TV show when you were young?
Hell yes, I did.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's like the only quote-unquote... the weeaboos are going to get mad at me, but I'm going to call it an anime, and that's the only anime I've ever seen.
Nice. Honestly, in my area, we were all about fucking Beyblades. I'm telling you.
Beyblades
were way bigger.
With the plastic arenas and everything. Oh my god.
I have a kid in my building who's so into Beyblades. I didn't even know it was...
That's sick, man.
I didn't even know it was still a thing, but there's this like little kid, and he's always going on... He asks me about Beyblades when I see him.
Really?
I'll see him in the elevator, and now he's getting a bit older, so now I guess he's getting more friendly. Like he just wants to talk to people, so he's always telling everyone in the elevator about Beyblades. I'm like, that fucking rules, man.
That's trad, dude. Imagine if you had a Fortnite shirt on. That would not be trad. You need it. If you have kids, they need to be really into like the media franchises from almost 20 years ago. That's important. They got to be like the classic rock kids.
That's the real revolt against the modern world.
That's the revolt against the modern world, is to like be a Led Zeppelin fan in 5th grade.
I was really into Pokemon Red Blue when it came out.
Hell yes, dude. I remember I learned the rare candy code before anyone else because my cousins in the suburbs with like internet access taught me it. And I brought it back to school. I had all these level 99 Pokemon, and I was beating 6th graders like on the bus when I was in kindergarten with my Pokemon. And they were fucking pissed that my level 99 Blastoise just rolled through their squad.
One of the worst things that ever happened to me in my life, and this is a sob story, so I expect anyone listening to this to like seriously come and like give me like an e-hug or something, because this is like a painful memory I'm dredging up for everyone. But I went when I was a kid to like the Pokemon Day at Mall of America in Minneapolis, the biggest mall in the world, and they had like the full Pokemon tournament, like Pokemon festival, like huge Pokemon Day, like just for Red and Blue, when that shit was like totally dominating everything. And I went and I played against, and of course it was a girl, it was a female, and I played against her on the Pokemon Red and Blue with like the Connect cable and shit, and I had all my team ready to go, and then she had used the Game Shark to get shit, and then because she used the Game Shark, it corrupted my cartridge. No. And I lost my save.
Oh my god, dude.
And we had gone like
I'm crying.
All the way there, and I cried when I was there, man. And my mom had to like take us home.
Holy shit. Dude,
that happened to me, except it was my sister who deleted my save file to like get back at me for something, and I definitely cried.
Oh, don't even fucking start on that shit. My sister deleted my Donkey Kong Country 3 save file.
Damn, dude.
Do you remember the Pokemon store in New York City? Do either of you guys?
No, that was.
It was like a whole.
You mean the Nintendo store, or like?
They turned it into a Nintendo store, but
yeah,
it used to be an entire like a Pokemon Center from the Pokemon game themed. And I had my birthday party there when I was very, very little. And I remember I wore this is a different traumatic Pokemon memory. I wore a Yu-Gi-Oh T-shirt to the birthday party, and a trainer came out and with a big Pokemon and asked if I wanted my photo taken because I was the birthday boy. And then in front of all my friends, they asked, "Why are you wearing a Yu-Gi-Oh shirt at the Pokemon store?" And I just broke down crying. And I ran away. I don't remember the rest of it. I guess I've subconsciously buried it, but that was a dark memory. I remember. It's painful. It's a love-hate.
I have one memory of that place. It was after it became the Nintendo store. I was visiting New York with my family, like, because I have other family like in the area, and I was like demanding we go to the Nintendo store so I could get a copy of Electroplankton because it was like the only place that had it. And that was fucking sick because that game ruled.
Hell yeah. They also had the special edition Game Boys with like the characters carved into them. I'd go through a couple of those because I'd get a little angry, and they were like flip phones, you know, so you could snap them in half.
You're fucking
if you
breaking
lost
your
the
Game Boys, man.
battle.
God, you gotta calm down.
Oh man.
I've never broken any gaming gear when I was a kid, even though I got close to it once. I almost broke my Wavebird playing Shadow the Hedgehog because that game fucking blows. And I got so pissed off at one of the bosses. I remember it was like Eggman, right? And he has like 3 vocal lines, and he just repeats them the whole time. So I just kept getting owned, and he kept screaming, "Lights out! Lights out! Lights out! Lights out!" And I just had a like psychotic break, and I threw my controller at the wall.
You're gonna be like 40 years old and hear someone on the street tell their friend, "All right, man, good night, lights out," and something's just gonna flash for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna like throw my dentures at the wall.
I had that same experience with Super Star Wars for SNES, and I remember like that we didn't even have like a Blockbuster or anything. We had like the grocery store had a video rental place, and I would rent games from that. And I saw Super Star Wars. I was like, that's going to be good. I got to get that. And I don't know if anyone's ever played it, but it's like a super hard fucking game. Like, it's crazy difficult for considering that it's like for kids.
Is that the SNES one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played that. That shit's fucking impossible.
And I remember playing that like in my, because we had the SNES. It was in like my parents' bedroom, and because that was like where like the TV was, and I was playing the SNES in there, playing Super Star Wars, and I don't even know how old I was, but I must have been pretty young, and I was just like fucking raging, going like absolutely nuts playing that game, like trying to get past the Mos Eisley Cantina stage, and my parents like were seriously worried about me, that like something was wrong with me, and that like I was gonna like die or like have a seizure because I was freaking out so bad from playing that fucking bullshit game. But I never broke anything. I haven't gone as far as you, Warren. You've like entertained like the dark side of things, I guess.
Yeah.
Have you punched a hole in your wall for it, Warren?
Oh, if we're gonna do a Warren retrospective, we can definitely. I've punched many holes in walls.
You've played
I'm
yourself.
sorry, you
now
okay,
you're the
Warren?
meme.
I've only punched actually one hole in a wall. It was at a boarding school. But I guess you could say I'm kind of troubled in that regard, where I get impulsive, and that makes my Game Boy go bye-bye.
It was like Warren Caulfield punching a hole in his wall at the boarding school.
Is that what your book is going to be about, Warren?
That's the novel. It's the plan.
Like you don't even have a family anymore. You just have your gaming accessories. That's more important than family these days.
There's love thy neighbor and there's love thy accessories, because when society collapses, you're gonna have nothing to protect you. So you're gonna have to love your neighbors and rely on their dependence. But when your neighbors don't even love you, all you're gonna have are your video and your accessories. It's something to really, really cherish.
We're going to take over the retro games industry from like YouTube and like Video Game Nerd and all those guys.
Mega whatever they're called, something number.
That's where the real money is. I've noticed.
Yeah, it sucks so bad too. Like, you really just have to go full bore on that shit. Like, it's really wild to me when I like hang out with like normies, how much they are still obsessed with video games. I don't know. I feel like I kind of fell off, and everyone else just kept going at some point. And now I'm just like estranged from the world.
Yeah,
because I don't game.
I just play Tetris now.
GameCube was like the last thing for me, and then after that,
that's the best system.
Yeah, like Eternal Darkness.
I never broke my GameCube.
Eternal Darkness was like the best game.
I had a bongo drum attachment that was like a Donkey
For
Kong.
Donkey Kong?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I loved that.
I never played that one. I think they've made some more Donkey Kong Country games recently, but I don't know.
I have it on my Switch, Tropical Freeze Donkey Kong Country. It's pretty good. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, Warren has like all the gamer gear, so when Death Stranding comes out, we're gonna do some Death Stranding stuff.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I need to have a gamer friend that I can visit. That's how, like, it kind of ties back to, I was thinking of a good aesthetic for this show would be like when you're hanging out with your friends when you're younger, like a friend who has like a system you don't have or whatever, and you just like go over to their house after school and like watch them play, and like they don't let you play because it's like a one-player game.
It's Mega Man X.
Dude, this is my house.
This is how I
Come on.
experienced Kingdom Hearts, is like just watching one of my friends play Kingdom Hearts when I was a kid and being like, hey, can I play? And be like, no.
I had like my friend.
Like, this is my file.
Yeah,
my friend
exactly.
Paul's basement, where he, growing up in his house, and he had his room in his basement, and he had his PS2. I didn't have a PS2, but he had a PS2 with like, Kingdom Hearts and shit, and I was like all in for like GameCube. And then I hadn't really heard of Kingdom Hearts, and I would like go over there and he'd play Kingdom Hearts for me, or like Final Fantasy X, and I just would think like, this is like the lamest shit. Like, when did like Kingdom Hearts? Like, what the fuck? And then now I guess there's a new Kingdom Hearts that came out recently that's like controversial, like Kingdom Hearts 3 or whatever.
Yeah, it's because the whole storyline for it is like some of the most autistic, complicated nonsense like ever. There's like people who have like, it's like I was talking to this guy at a bar because he was reading one of the Star Wars Extended Universe books.
Oh, which one?
And I was just like,
Oh my god.
I don't fucking know, man. I don't know which one, but I was just like engaging him with some small talk and trying to get him to explain to me like the various parts of the extended universe and like how they work together and which parts like are canon now or not or whatever. And I just had him go, and he was so happy to talk about it too.
Because I remember back in the day, we had the like Tales from Jabba's Palace novel and like Tales of the Bounty Hunter novels. I had those in like elementary school or something, and I mean, I liked those more than the stuff that they were having me read in school. Like, the stuff that they had you read in school when you were a kid. What book I fucking hated was Hatchet. I don't know if you had to read that.
I thought he was okay. Gary Paulson or whatever.
Yeah.
He's kind of like Hemingway for kids, though, like that's the whole idea. Or like kind of like I had like a lot of like actual reading in my childhood, like real books, because of like some of the people I had in my life who were like giving me books to read. So I had already read like Jack London by the time I got to Gary Paulson.
Oh yeah, I never had. Yeah, that didn't happen for me because like my family doesn't read. Like, my dad was not, like, has never read a book the entire time that I've known him.
He's the
my dad's like an English.
poster.
My dad's like a very well-regarded English teacher. so like I kind of grew up in that sort of zone.
Yeah, for me,
with like a lot of books.
My dad was mostly all about the History Channel. That's where my family got most of its news information from. And like,
I used to watch the History Channel so much when I was a kid, though, back in the day too. That was great.
I did too, but I can't remember what were like the classics on there. I would go after school and try to like get smarter by watching the History Channel.
It was mostly like World War II documentaries.
Well, yeah, it was all like World War II stuff, and they had like
Hitler's
shows
top,
on like
Hitler's
weapons.
Yeah, like Hitler's top like hugest motherfucking weapons.
Yes, shit like
tank
that.
that can shoot over like an entire country.
And Animal Planet was fucking great back in the day too. Do you remember The Most Extreme? Do you remember that show?
No.
The Most Extreme. It was a countdown of like animals for like the most extreme for something. It was like the most extreme jumping animals, and it would show you which animals could jump the best. And it was just, God, I used to love that show.
Yeah, it's like a Watch Mojo video, except on
pretty much.
Yeah.
But they had like the most ridiculous, like like educational graphics or whatever, showing like if you were a flea, you'd be able to jump over a skyscraper. And I'd be like, damn, that's crazy. I never thought of it like that.
I mean, I sort of appreciated that era back before Pawn Stars. But I gotta give Pawn Stars and my boy Chum-Li credit for changing the game.
Yeah, they really.
I think they're
revived it.
fucking lazy. I'm an American Pickers guy, okay? Like, I like those guys because they're on the fucking road.
I don't like that. I just hate the skinny guy.
Yeah, he is annoying. That's true. I'm lying so much right now. I hate that show.
Yeah, I fucking hate that. But the Storage Wars show was where it was really at.
That's a great one. Yeah.
You never know what's inside. It's just.
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna do some like Storage Wars videos where we're gonna go and actually buy some storage units once people fucking subscribe to the TekWars podcast.
Yeah, the long-term goal for this is for us to like get just like ultimately create the realization in everyone that all like the classic gaming nerd memorabilia stuff is really just antiques. So we're just gonna get everything into one building of antiquities.
We're gonna be the Goethe collector, the alpha Goethe collector.
Yeah, I know. There was a time like a few years ago when I was really obsessed with like just how insane some YouTube videos are of like people posting like their retro game stuff and like their collections, and it's like absolutely crazy the lengths that people go, and they're like, I modded my whole house to like to contain my like classic game collection, and it's like, and I have like the NES World Championship cartridge, which is worth like $50,000.
That their wife divorced them over getting.
I love that shit too. This is like, it's better when it comes like kind of like as a surprise, you know, when there's like someone who seems weird for one reason and then they turn out to like have like a whole collection of like other shit that isn't associated with their main weirdness, right? Like I watched this documentary, which I highly recommend all of you watch and all the listeners watch. I forget if it was either on Amazon or Netflix, but it's about the guy who had like the perfect bid on The Price is Right. He was like a huge like Price is Right fanboy who like had memorized all the prices for everything on the show.
I think I saw a trailer for that or something.
Yeah, but the best part is when they go and they show his like they're interviewing him and he finally gives like a tour of his house and he just has a room devoted to like Peanuts memorabilia. It's like just a room. And I was like, I thought you were the Price is Right guy, but no, like you secretly have this like huge Peanuts autism as well.
You know, I worked at a Subway once, and there was a really like a way older guy who worked there. This was like when I was in high school, and there was a way older guy who worked there who had like a pedo mustache and stuff, and he was like kind of off, like not like mentally like disabled, but like kind of. But he had a huge Transformers collection, and knew every like toy price, like model Transformers toy. And I would be like washing the dishes at Subway, and this guy would like stand there the whole time for like 30 minutes as I washed the little trays and shit out and tell me like the prices of Transformers like toys. It's like there's something like magical about it in a way. I don't know how to describe it, but like it's so stupid and so lame and just annoying and just like retarded, but it's also like I can really respect it in a way.
The kind of special.
Yeah, it's
savant.
it's hard to transplant that like into the past. Like if you would imagine being like, I don't know, in some like agricultural village or whatever, and some guy you're like giving your horse some hay, and the attendant just starts telling you about like the prices of eggs in all of the various towns.
You know, over there, a lady's trying to sell me this for $2, but I know it's $1.99 over down the road, and actually it was $1.88 yesterday. So I was thinking, the lady's trying to rip me off on these eggs.
I don't know. You guys remember that movie? Because just you doing that voice, do you get that from that American movie? Do you remember that documentary about
I don't know where the fuck I got
the guy
those.
from Wisconsin who was trying to make like horror movies?
Huh. No.
Have you seen this logo?
I don't think so.
Oh, this is like a classic like movie. It's like a documentary. It's about this like low class guy from like Wisconsin who wants to make horror movies, and he's been like trying to self-make this like shitty like B horror movie by himself for like a decade. And so it's about like his work on it, but that movie like really resonates if you want to see some like Rust Belt like tragic beauty, like weird stuff like that, because him and the people who work on the movie, they're all just like into lottery tickets. And it has that vibe of like, I need my like $50 or whatever so I can like live for the next 2 weeks and like buy my like my PBRs or whatever so I can get like absolutely blackout drunk every night. But I still
that was one of the best things about the new season of Twin Peaks, or like the third season. I don't know if you were into Twin Peaks, but I think they did like one of the best explorations of like the contemporary Rust Belt in the scenes that they have at the trailer park and stuff. It was really good.
I haven't checked that out. I haven't watched Twin Peaks.
You should, man. I mean, I think that's by far the best David Lynch project, is just the entirety of Twin Peaks.
I don't know. I mean, it just sounds so complicated. I mean, I know that like, the second season of it is supposed to kind of suck because David Lynch got...
It does.
Yeah, he stepped away.
Yeah, the second season's kind of lame, but like the first season, the first few episodes of the second season, and the last episode of the second season are like all the ones that David Lynch was involved with like more heavily are like all really good, and the third one is just perfect.
I'll have to check it out. I mean, people always tell me whenever I say I haven't seen it. I'm into it.
It's kind of like a geek thing. Like there's Twin Peaks, like kind of like Tumblr sweater girls or whatever, who are like really into like that. But I don't think they really get it.
That's what
like
really
I don't
turns
think
me
they
off.
get it.
Because I knew like
they don't really know what's going on though. Like they kind of like it like superficially for being quirky or something, but I don't feel like they really could have liked the third season that much, because it totally destroys like any sort of nostalgia you have because none of the things come back. Like none of like, oh, like we wanted to see like the thing that we saw in the earlier one happen again, and it just none of it happens at all. It's like radically different.
Yeah, I had that same experience in college with like the hipster girls really liking the show, and that like kind of permanently turned me off to it. Because I was like, more of like the middle class, like pure like Wisconsinite kind of person who's like from the Midwest, and then you had like the East Coast and like the West Coast kids who were like like more of the hipsters and stuff, and they were like the cool kids in college, and then like the girls in that group were like really into Twin Peaks, and that like kind of permanently kind of like soured my feelings about the show.
Yeah, the thing is that a lot of those people probably grew, like, this was my experience in college anyway, coming from like a small town or whatever. I was always from the smallest town out of like any room that I was in, but anytime you'd find, like, there'd be a lot of people who came from like similar circumstances who would be kind of like retconning their like life history to seem more suburban or like normal, I guess.
That's one big thing I noticed about like all the Twitter users that I know, is that we're all like, middle class. Like, we're from like the kind of like the bad part. We're from like the middle class like losers that like then go sometimes to these like more elite institutions and like just are completely resentful of them for like the East and West Coast kids who are from the big cities. We're just like, don't have our sense of authenticity.
Yeah, they kind of just like, they kind of hate everything about places that you grew up in, and you sort of find yourself like almost wanting to defend things that you don't even necessarily like yourself that much about them.
That's how, like 100%
that's sort of like,
how I became conservative.
Yeah, I would sort of agree. I think it's also sort of why I kind of at this point feel like a knee-jerk defense for things like stupid things like Greyhound stops and shit that like Europeans get all uppity about like Americans like having bad aesthetics or something because we have like fucking gas stations. Like, I just hate that shit. Like, you're only allowed to hate on America if you're an American.
That's exactly how I feel too. I mean, I've tweeted about that before. Like the fucking Euro Vespa riders. We're going to the fucking disco. We're listening to the Venga Boys, and I'm gonna like have sex in the bathroom. like shit, that was your teenage years, and it's like, no, fuck that. Like, you don't understand like the beauty of like getting in your fucking like old Ford or GM or something that like is totally busted, and like driving to Friday Night Magic and like listening to Rush in the car, and then like you have absolutely nothing to do except maybe like go to the mall that's like 2 towns over, and like walk around and not even buy anything, but just like walk around.
Think about
they
hitting on
don't
girls.
really have they don't really understand nostalgia or at least my kind of nostalgia, because like the one that particularly get me are, for some fucking reason, there's all these Londoners or like, I don't know, from other like cities in the UK especially, and apparently when you're a teenager there, you just go like clubbing and shit, you listen to like techno and all that, you get all nostalgic about listening to Burial and having Peaky what is it, fucking Nando's or something.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Or whatever. And I just am like, shut the fuck up, dude. Oh my God. That sounds terrible. Like, what we did is we drive around and like hotbox a car and then go on the rope swing and jump into the lake and then have a fire. And that was my idea of fun. And that's way cooler than going to a fucking club and eating Nando's.
Stopping at the Circle K on the way back home.
Yeah,
Can open a PBR.
One of my best friends in high school had like his grandma had like an RV that was like permanently up at like this RV campground, and so we would just drive out there like through like the total wasteland of like all these like old barns, old abandoned barns and stuff, and like these abandoned farms and stuff, like way out in like the boonies, like in the middle of nowhere, and like drive out to the RV campground and like go like in the middle of like April or something, and like no one was even there yet, and just like make a huge fire.
Yeah, fire pit. If you haven't hung out at a fire pit, don't fucking at me.
These are spicy opinions. I don't know. We might get some like Euro cucks or something, or some like trad cucks.
Yeah, they're like we couldn't have fires. Like, don't you need a license to have a fire? Oh my God, get the fuck out of my face.
We'll have the trad cucks coming in and bitching about this and saying like that you needed to like, didn't you go to your town square, like your music stand, your band stand, and like the town square, and like there was old ladies wearing veils, and it was on Sunday and it was church and shit. It was like, fuck, I don't want any of that shit. I want to go and fucking play Friday Night Magic, and I want to open up some like Onslaught booster packs, and then I fucking want to go to like Taco Bell like 3 towns over, like a Menominee or something. Like, fuck you. And I want to listen to Modest Mouse in the car, and I want to
fucking
charge my friends for gas.
A bulkhead. I want to go into my friend's bulkhead in his basement and hotbox the bulkhead. And then I want to play NFL Blitz on the N64 while drinking vodka out of Poland Springs bottles. If that is not what you're fucking talking about, like, get out of my face.
Like, I want to go back to like have like my first sexual experience was under a rural overpass, like out in the middle of nowhere, and like my '94 Buick Century. Like, I want to say just like a hard fuck you to all the Euro cucks out there who were doing your MDMA in the bathroom or whatever. Like, fuck you.
I just realized you just made me realize that my first sexual experience was on a Greyhound bus. It was a school field trip in junior high.
God.
You want to go into the details of that? You can't leave us hanging on that now.
Oh, it was like I was like kind of like an emo kid at the time or whatever. Basically, like, meaning I had like a Taking Back Sunday hoodie, you know? That's like what it meant. But yeah, I was like in a group. It was like me and my friend. This friend, like, he was like one of my like. He was like such a good kid, but he had like he was like really poor family, like pretty white trash family. Like this is like this type of kid. Like, he eventually had to go to the hospital because they were having like a trash fire and someone threw an aerosol cannon and it exploded and a bunch of people got burned. So it was like that sort of thing. But it was me and him, like, we were partners, and so we were like grouped up on the bus, sitting like 2 by 2 or whatever. And we just started like chatting up these girls who were in like a different section of the junior high or whatever. and then they like were like sitting on our laps and whatnot, and things got a little frisky, and we got in trouble. But I ended up getting my girlfriend that way, my 7th grade girlfriend.
Very nice.
Oh man, we gotta kind of cut this one short. Warren has to get out of here.
I think
shit.
Our
Well, this is a
gas
good
station
chat.
just ended it too.
Yeah, we just ended the ambient track of our gas station.
Oh, someone told us to stop loitering. Fuck. Reminds me.
We got kicked out by the Circle
All
K
right, sir,
manager.
we'll leave.
But we'll get
Sir, we're
another one
leaving.
going. DT has an idea to do a sex chat.
Oh, we could get into that.
Yeah,
DT
so
is
he
the
wants all
Patrice.
the listeners to submit their sex questions, and then I guess we'll address them on air. But
PUA
Yeah, that's a good
episode.
idea. Do like a sex chat vibe, like Rate Talk Radio or whatever the fuck, Dateline vibe.
Maybe we'll take some callers.
I don't
That'd
know.
be
Yeah,
good.
we should figure out a way to do that.
Yeah, I could.
But thanks for being here, Logo.
Thank you,
can
Logo.
Follow him, Logo Daedalus, Logo_Daedalus on Twitter. Everyone should know this guy. He's a true.
Well, I've
tech
had a good
warrior.
time chilling here, so
All right,
thanks for joining us all at the gas station.
I'm gonna go get another PBR. I guess everyone have a good night.
Good night.